No refrain, all aboard the Gain Train route.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Gain Train podcast. Last week we discussed a little bit just about the gym and just kind of getting kind of a reacquaintance and getting to know us and what we do, our services and everything. So today we're going to talk a little bit about fitness community. So that's our first little list. I got my little list here. Super low budget. We're in the closet again, but we'll get this fixed up soon enough. So eventually it's going to happen. I'm going to say this and it's going to be like 2 years and then we'll still be in the closet, but oh well.
What's the closet?
The
Our
closet.
little office?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like an office, but it's really a closet.
Should we paint it? Would that make
I
it
don't
feel
think
better?
anything's wrong necessarily with the color. There just needs to be more into it. It's like we're looking at the camera view and it's like you see our box of shame here and you see our Pop-Tarts over there. And it's like we just need to reorganize it a little bit
This
better.
is real life, though.
Yeah. In real life can be fancy sometimes.
Well,
like
that's true, too, I guess.
Anyway, so we're going to open it up and we're going to talk about fitness community. So I think in fitness, a lot of people, let's say, I don't want to talk about the bodybuilding community like DSM or nothing, but let's say you take people and you're just like throw them into a gym and it's like, go and do your gym, do your workout, get in, get out, do your thing. And then you're kind of like in this hermit mode. What could be the value of a fitness community for someone or something like that?
Like not coming in and being in a hermit mode or just in...
Yeah, or let's just explain in your own words, like just explain a fitness community and what it is. Like, why should someone care about that? Or selling point, because like we're trying to grow here at the complex, we're trying to grow a fitness community. So
I think the biggest
what's the
thing is
value?
when you come into some place, you like to know who people are that are there.
Yeah.
And being able to talk to people, either when you first get there or in between sets and that kind of thing, and you know that they're there to help you if you need help with something.
For sure. Yeah, and then when you're doing like heavy lifts and stuff, because I know from my time over at Max Effort, they had a very good powerlifting community once we were doing powerlifting. And so you knew that at certain times, like you knew your times for that gym when certain people would be there.
Mm-hmm.
And if, you couldn't get them like maybe every time because life, things change, jobs, whatever. But if you couldn't get them there, then you knew that someone else would be there, someone who was capable of doing whatever. So let's say you were doing classic raw where you have like these knee wraps around you need someone to help wrap you need someone to help spot you because you're doing X amount of weight, or you need someone to like just be there to record for you or whatever, just anything.
Right.
You had this community there and you knew that they'd have your back kind of, and it would make your training a lot better. So if like in some instances, like yes, you can train on your own and it's fine, but in others it's like it really helps to have people. So if we'll say for now, like with strongman, right, we just got done with strongman Saturday, and one of the events that we're doing is like this rope pull thing. So you got to like pull this rope to you, you got to go around and you have to pull the sled the opposite way. So you got like 2 ropes that you have to pull from. Well, this event's kind of a pain in the butt because if you don't have someone there that's going to train with you or someone to pull the rope out of the way for you, it just bunches up in your stomach and you're just kind of like feeding rope to yourself and you're just like this big ball of rope by the end, right?
Yeah, and then it gets you get tangled up and
Yeah.
you can't get up out of it. Yeah, so that's totally a good area to have someone with you
Yeah, and that's
to help pull that out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes going to I think having a higher community makes going to the gym better because then it's like now you have like this group of friends that you're with and you can like all play the same game kind of. It's kind of like a play date, like you get to play and socialize with other people.
Yep, and you're all there helping each other and making gains together, and that builds
camaraderie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big word for me today.
That's the word they used at Max Effort.
Oh,
Today's word of the
okay.
day is camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
It means
yes.
doing fun things together.
Yes.
All right. So, going off of fitness community, do you have any more like notes you want to add about that?
Well, that, and then you're able to hype each other up and support each other and talk about gym life stuff, and then of course people get...
Yeah, I was getting ready to move on to the next big thing, but so the other thing about like with community, if you have a community building, you have a good gym, a good group of people around you. If you're going for like a hype lift, like things that are like, let's say you made it your goal to do, I don't know, a 400-pound squat by the end of the year, something like that, right? Whatever the number's not important, but whatever your goal is, and you've been training for this thing. So this group that you've been training around, they all know that goal and they're all like hyping you up through it, right? And so let's say the day comes when you're going to go get that it's time to go try that squat out, try the 400 squat out. You go to do it. So now all of a sudden it creates this atmosphere that's really good for hitting PRs in, because if you come in and it's just like yourself, it's like a library. You could hear a pen drop. It's super quiet. You got to generate all this hype yourself, right? And that
Yeah.
can be exhausting.
It can.
But if you got this community that you're building around, like they all feed off of that. It's like passing energy around, right?
Hmm.
And so you'll feed off of this energy that you don't have to generate. You're just generating it without even knowing it.
Yep.
It's kind of like, if there's any 40K nerds listening to this, it's like the orcs and the Wa, right?
Well, yeah, it's the atmosphere and the energy.
Yeah,
It
they
all
just
builds
they all
together.
just feed off of it.
Yep.
And no, you don't have to generate so much energy. It's just like you're just
Yeah.
falling into place and doing the thing.
It fuels you up.
And it makes getting amped up. Like, you don't have to amp yourself up. It's already around the room. You just have to grab hold of it and go. So yeah, it makes that a lot easier to hit those lifts in.
Yep.
But I mean, it could also be exhausting if you're around it too long. Like, we'd have, like, at Max Effort, it was a really good atmosphere
Yeah.
for getting PRs, and everyone would, like, they'd blast the music up and they'd all be like yelling and screaming and stuff, right? And so that was a really good community, and it in a way it made it easy. But it's like, if I'm in that room and I wasn't doing that kind of work, like, let's say I was doing like general fitness or whatever work, I'd have to back out. I'd have to go in a different room, because I'm like, it's too much. And you literally, like, if you're not up with that level, you're not matching them, they're
Gotcha.
just pulling from you.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, like, you literally feel exhausted just
Yeah.
being around it. And you're like, I gotta go in the other room.
Yeah, because that can probably also help. Like, if you're not wanting to go that heavy that day, it's gonna amp you up a little bit more too.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it'll amp. It just, well, like I said, it pulls from you and it'll amp you
Right.
up.
Right.
But if you're like, let's say you're deloading and you're like nowhere near that amperage level,
Yeah.
you just literally feel like the energy being pulled from you.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It can. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like, if you ever been to like a strongman competition or a powerlifting meet, it's the same atmosphere there, because you're just around a bunch of people who are like, they're all in go mode. They're like, let's go. And if you ever have to, what's the word, spot or volunteer at a powerlifting or strongman competition, that is the most exhausting thing ever. And you come out of this thing, not even like, it's a mixture of like physically exhausted, but you just feel like your brain's exhausted
Yes.
from being around this high level of just like amperage.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah, because that's like the hardest. Because I've done these meets, like we run a meet here called Hope for the Holidays, and if you want to talk about that more, go right ahead. But I've competed at this meet and I've helped at this meet, and every time I will compete at this meet, it's because I don't want to help at the meet. And because I'm like, no, I'd rather compete, because that's a lot less work. And I'm like, oh, I'll help you guys that way. I'll participate that way. But then the times you have to help it, it's like, that is exhausting. Like, the next 3 days, your hand, like, everything about
Yep.
you is just sore.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how exhausting helping at a competition is, just as much as competing too.
It's way more intense.
Yeah.
And if you break it down in the math, you're moving way more poundage.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you have to unload all the bars, then load the bars, then unload the bars, and then the athlete just has to pick it up once.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 3 times.
Back to the community thing real quick
Yeah.
though, that you also have each other keep each other accountable.
Yeah,
So
accountability buddies.
you told someone you were gonna go and do this, and now they are also in there waiting for you and rooting you on to accomplish that.
Yeah, because if they're like, hey, we're hitting squats at 3 and you don't show up, that makes you a bitch.
And then everybody's like, "Where the fuck you at?"
Yeah, now they're mad at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to have a good community too.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope for the holidays, and in December actually, you're helping, right?
Yeah, I've been voluntold. I think my hope days are over, because I'm too good at Lance told me that I handled the floor too well
Yeah.
last time, and he's like, yeah, you can't compete anymore. You're doing this thing now for us. And I'm like,
You're a very
Oh.
good floor manager.
oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know.
We love you.
Yeah. I guess I just go in and take charge or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next time I guess it won't be this one, but there'll be an event in the future of which me and another dude will be being the floor manager. And I have gotten the okay that we are going to wear like animal skins
Oh,
or something. Yeah, you're gonna
Has
know
that
who
been okayed?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I talked to Lance. He said absolutely.
All
And
right.
so we got the okay, and you're going to know that day who the floor managers are for sure. There will be no confusion.
Have you talked to your partner in
Yep.
crime on that?
Oh, no, I told him.
Oh, okay.
No, he's all about it.
Oh, shit.
He's very excited.
Great.
This
All
is
right.
this is quite easily like he's like very much looking forward to this.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So if we're all done with the fitness community topic, any more to add?
No, I think
'Cause
that
I'm
was
kind of
great. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's really it. We could talk about it more, but maybe we need more people in here. That's another thing. We'll get more guests on here. I'll get another microphone. We'll start talking more. But let's talk about what everyone really wants to know. How to get stronger.
Oh, I mean, that's a general question for everybody, ain't it?
It is, but we're going to discuss the things about it.
Ins and outs. The
Yep.
biggest thing is progressive overload over time.
Yes, that's seems to be the most important mechanism. So what I've found is that it's like progressive overload. So if you don't know what that is, it just means over the course of time, just keep pushing yourself to do harder and harder or heavier and heavier things. So for example, if you're stuck doing a 10-pound dumbbell and it's just like pressing it overhead, you're probably not going to get any stronger. But if you challenge yourself with like a 10-pound dumbbell sometimes, and then do a 12-pound dumbbell or a 15-pound dumbbell other times, because it's progressively overloading, like you're just progressively trying harder at new things, you will eventually get stronger.
Mhm.
So that's the mechanism. I just find it in more simple terms, like you just got to push yourself. Like
Push
there's
stuff and then
intensity seems to be the driver behind everything, regardless of what your sport or what it is you're trying to drive. That seems to be the case.
yeah, and
Unless you're trying to
then
get lean.
that could go back to the community thing too. Having people around you to help push you.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, the
But
higher well, that's the other thing. Like the higher the intensity, the more that having people around you are going to help, because just like the more support you need, because it is very high intensity, and it being around a high energy environment is only going to help to that. It's only
so
going to
yeah,
add to that.
so increasing weights, you can also increase your reps, increase your sets. That can all be a beginner progressive overload too, without just increasing the weight.
Right. Let's talk about like block periodization, like the kind of the programming aspect of how we would go about that. So I think there's probably more. There's probably like as many as you want to go into, but the
Right.
three main known ones, you're going to have something called like linear progression, you're going to have block periodization, and then you're going to have conjugate style. And so we'll just kind of like go into those little by little. So I think a linear progression would be good for someone who's new, because the problem with linear progression, and that's kind of goes into progressive overloading, is where it's kind of like a baby step. So like every week you would do, or every week or chunk or block of time, whatever you want to call it, you just go heavier over time, right? And the issue with this is at some point in time, you just can't keep going heavier. You'll stall out. And when you have that stall out point, some people it's as much as a year, but after about a year, it's like I think these people, they stall out. When you get to that point, you want to then switch over to something else, be it block, periodization, conjugate, or whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
That's gonna be depending on the person too,
Mhm.
I think. With that, I don't know
So like
how.
what? Give us a person. Give us an example for where it would work and where it wouldn't work. Because I could see very easily, like if you had someone like a power lifter or someone who was trying to get just like indefinitely stronger, linear periodization isn't going to work. Like as soon as they hit their ceiling, then that's it.
Yeah, then you're just gonna have to start getting
Then
that
you got
weight
to
up. And
yeah, you got to go back to the base. So for those who may not be familiar with, because I wasn't familiar with when this was brought up to me, you have terminology such as like a base and ceiling, or like the floor. So imagine like your lowest point of strength, like on your very worst day, what can you do? That's your base, or your basement floor. That's where that is. And then where's the highest point of which you can achieve like physically? So from a strength point, we could be like, here's your worst day, here's your best day, here's your floor, here's your ceiling. And so linear periodization, it's like the problem is you're just traveling from the floor to the ceiling. And so as soon as you hit the ceiling, it's like you can't go past that anymore. So you have to either go down, you got to go down at some point, because this is unachievable. And eventually, like if you keep trying to achieve this and pushing, you just go way far down.
yeah,
Your body's just like, we're done, and then it drops.
and then you can get injuries and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's another story. But yeah, the well, and then sometimes you got to decide on what your ceiling is, so you can get to that and be like, okay, so I'm stuck here now. What do I need to do?
Well, like how so do you have to decide what your ceiling is?
That's going to be dependent on everybody, right?
Like the sport,
Maybe the sport,
like what, like your
maybe,
metrics, like what are you trying to improve upon?
yeah, anything.
Okay.
Like, are we certain on certain things, on deadlifts, on
Well,
squats,
let's
or
assume it's like you're from a strength parameter. It's going to be a deadlift pattern, squat pattern, bench pattern, overhead press pattern, or whatever movement. Just pick an exercise, and it's like there you go.
let's talk about the bench,
Okay.
because I think a lot of people struggle with a bench press,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
So you for your ceiling for that, I think, is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Ceiling.
Ceiling for your max, for so it'd be a max, right? Your max bench press.
Mass expression. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be your ceiling, and then you get that, and then you can't do it again.
Mhm.
So then you got to drop down and start increasing the weights on a certain, or I'm sorry, increase the reps on a certain amount of weight, and then progressively come back up again
Okay.
to go over that
So you're
ceiling.
saying you're saying you would go. So you start at your basement. You touch the top. So you go like straight linear, touch the top, and then you just drop back down, and then try to touch. You just go back and touch the top again.
Yeah.
So on a graph, it would look like a
Yeah.
bunch of arrows shooting up just gradually over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a smart approach to it. I think that's what you would have to do.
Yeah.
So it'd be like for example, what this would look like is over the course of like 10 weeks, week 1, it would be like set of 10, week 2, set of 8, and just like 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1, and then you come back down to like 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1, and you just do that pattern over the course of however many weeks that is, and you would just be increasing weight as the reps come down, weight goes up, but then the second time around, try to increase that weight a little bit more, so then you're challenging yourself for those sets of 10.
Yeah. From the
Like,
bottom.
yeah,
Yeah.
from the base. So then every time that you complete this cycle, it's like, here's your basement. You completed the cycle. You touch the ceiling. Now you go back down. But instead of coming back down to the basement, your basement is just a little bit higher.
Yep.
And then you just work off of that until gradually you take your basement and you get it to where the ceiling is. And then your ceiling should be even higher. Should be.
Right.
Keywords. Should be.
Should be. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that basically explains linear periodization. So again, I think wrapping that up, I think it's very good for beginners who haven't, like, they have no experience with that, like where they are in terms of their potential. So if you go into the gym and you're like, I don't know what I can do, or I don't know where I'm at, I think that's a great place to start. I think it'll help. I mean, anything at that point helps, but I think in terms of keeping like all your ducks in a row, and in terms of like just keeping everything organized and contained, I think that's a great place to start. Just
Mhm.
because it's very simple, and it's just like you just go in and you do it, and there's not a whole lot of confusion to it.
Yeah, and you could also, even if you're not good at barbell bench pressing, you can go to a dumbbell.
Yeah. No, you could modify it
there.
with
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
totally.
No, you could modify. I think you could modify linear progression with anything.
Yep.
Even if you wanted to do like, instead of doing 1 rep maxes, if you just wanted to do like sets of, max sets of 10 and 5 or whatever, it works with everything, I think. Because it's not so much like what are you doing in the workout, it's how are you overloading or progressively overloading as you go. And so let's talk about the next one, which is block periodization.
Well, that's kind of like what we just talked about. You've got this weeks of a block week,
Mm-hmm.
and increasing that too.
Well, not quite though. No, so linear periodization, like in terms of the bench press, it'd just be like we're going over the bench press. When you get into block periodization, that's going to be more like, okay, well, here's your base. We'll start with what do you struggle with the bench press, right? They'll start going into like your weak points and your points that you excel at. And so let's say, well, I really struggle with the chest on the bench press. So they might be like, okay, for the first block, which could be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, it's whatever amount of time. I mean, it's not going to be as little as 1 week. Typically, they want to see it over 3 to 4 weeks. But for those weeks, they could be like, you're only doing incline bench press. And then for the second block, which is the next 4 weeks, you're going to do maybe close grip bench press. And then after that, then we'll start you on normal bench press. So it could be over 3 block cycles of 4 weeks. They'll like progress you over different movements, and then they're trying to like pull adaptations out in that way. What do you think about that?
That's a good way too.
Yeah, I see. So block periodization, I see that in some like strongman stuff, or not strongman, powerlifting. I see it a lot in strongman. I think it works very well in strongman, just because of the amount of shift that you have in events and like what you need to be training. So even if you like don't do block periodization, because I don't technically do block periodization in my training, but it certainly looks that way. Like when I'm watching this stuff, I'm like, well, this is all just block periodization. And it's like, oh, it's kind of not, but it also isn't not that, because it's like you have all, because of you have events, because you compete in multiple shows in a year, it's like that creates you in a block.
Yeah.
You know, like what you're doing in that block isn't quite that. It's more conjugate kind of.
Yep.
Like I don't even know what I would call what I'm doing. It's just like
It's probably more conjugate.
it's like psycho stuff. But I need to like write down what I'm doing. Like what am I doing? Like I don't even know.
Probably have a new name for what you do.
Yeah.
Crazy blocks.
But yeah, it's just like weird stuff. Anyway, but going back to block periodization, I think for like things like strongman, it can be very helpful because what you're testing yourself at, what you're trying to get good at, does change so much. For something like powerlifting, I think it could be helpful if it's used appropriately. Like if your patterns are very close to your movement, like for example, let's say you're doing a barbell squat. If your pattern is like you're changing out the bar to the barbell squat pattern, I think it could work well. But if you're like, I'm doing a block of only front squats, or I'm doing a block of Zercher squats, or I'm doing a block of, and they don't have the pattern you're trying to get good at, I don't think it's going to work as well because you're so specific in powerlifting that I think those things, I think they'll get you stronger. Like, I don't think they're going to be worse off in doing them. But when you go back to the barbell squat, you're not going to see anything new in that squat until you like re-specify in it. Like towards the end of the 4th week, you might see something new, but coming back in that first one's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like the limit of block periodization is like you're learning these new things and you might be increasing your floor, but then when you're going to go back to the things you want to get good at, it's like, well, you got to relearn that.
That's kind of the same way in strongman because
Well, it turns into the same thing as strongman. It's like unintentional, but it just
Right.
kind of falls itself because of contest.
yeah, because we don't do the same events every contest. That's
So you go like Circus Dumbbell. It's like Circus Dumbbell hasn't been in any contests around here for a while.
right.
So it's like it's all been log and axle. So like, okay, we're really good at log and axle right now. But you go back to Circus Dumbbell, it's like this thing sucks because
Yeah.
it doesn't match the transfer to what you can do on bilateral press.
Right.
But it's like if you go to unilateral, it's like it's going to be terrible. But it should be because you haven't practiced it.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's change in your
And I know this, but then when I go to do it, it's like, no, it shouldn't be that way. It's like, there's no reason for it not to be that way. It's like,
you're strong, but you've not been practicing that.
Yeah, it's like your body's like, we're not coordinated. We don't know how to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think some, maybe not limitations. What do you think someone coming in to like our population, not the strongman, but like general fitness, do you think block periodization would be good for that population?
It's going to be specific, right?
Yeah.
Just like
What do you think about block periodization for bodybuilding?
Oh, I'm not good on bodybuilding, but I
Well,
think it's just the same way.
Yeah.
That you got to work on what needs to be worked on. That's going to be
I was
more
gonna say, I think block
on
periodization might be actually really good for bodybuilding
Yeah.
because it's like let's say you have like 12 movements in a day, and let's say it's upper body day, and it might give you a period of time where you could just really like push these things hard and then switch your movements next block. You just switch your movements, same patterns, but you just switch them over, and it kind of keeps you fresh, like
So
a fresh
that-
response.
So I guess that would be more on if they're going to get on stage and what muscles need to be brought up.
We're just talking about like not even stage, just getting jacked. Yeah. Just getting jacked for the hell of it.
Yeah. Well, what muscles do they want to bring up? So
This
then
is just general, just all of them.
general.
Well, it's not, we're not talking about like a plan for like squatting or quads or abs or anything like that. Just like full,
everything?
just full body. Cause we were talking about, you could have like this is a 4-day or 4-week lifting 4 times a day. You'll have your lower body day, your upper body day,
4 times a week, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you're lifting 4 times a week. It goes on for 4 weeks. That's your
Yeah.
block.
Okay.
But that's like your frequency, your dosage of exercise. And I mean, it could be anything, but just assume it's like a full, well-rounded bodybuilding workout.
Yeah, so I would do, your upper body, lower body, a good full body, and probably a good cardio day.
Yeah, okay. I think you should just sprinkle cardio, like just sprinkle it like the sprinkle
Yeah.
that it is. Just like do it every day. Just throw it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 minutes. You don't need anything crazy.
So then, which way would you go with the bodybuilding
What do you mean?
for your 4-day split?
Oh, I would do 2 upper body, 2 lower body. I'd match it. Core in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah, big old sandwich.
probably do core
So
more.
what I would do is I would do probably deadlift or break it into chains. So I would do like posterior chain stuff on one day. I would do upper body in the front half on the other day, probably in more of a horizontal press position, plus like all the arm muscles and all that stuff. And then back would just be like sprinkled in on all 4 days. I probably wouldn't take a day off back because you could do things in all of them. It all connects. And then I would do an anterior lower body on the 3rd day. So that's like quads and everything, quads, abs, all that stuff. And then on the that was 3rd day. On the 4th day, then I would do more of like a shoulders
Hmm.
focus, more vertical pressing.
So do you think that also cuts down time you're inside the gym or training?
What, training them like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, because so if you think about it, if you're doing if you want to cut down time in the gym, if you're doing just like one body part, like let's say, okay, I'm doing quads and I'm going to hit like all of my sets on quads. But if you're bodybuilding, you're trying to get a stimulus. So unless you're trying to get a really heavy stimulus, it's like that at that point, just like focus on that one exercise that you're trying to get that heavy stimulus on. And then if you're trying to get like a more intensive stimulus, we're talking about like heavy weight, right? Because there's a performance aspect to that. So you don't want to like superset that with anything. Just do that heavy stimulus. So hit your like, I don't know, 5 sets of 2, 5 sets of 3 on squat or whatever leg movement that you're trying to do. And then I would follow that up with like doing 2 exercises that play into that, right? Like maybe that would be like a leg extension, maybe that would be a lunge, something of that nature to really bring the quads up more. But instead of just staying on one machine where it's like we're going to do 3 sets of leg extension, 3 sets of this, and just doing one machine, I would do 2, but try to make them like alternates.
So like a superset it?
Yeah, definitely superset. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's like if you get the front half, back half sort of thing.
yeah,
Well, so like legs and hamstrings, because then you could get double dosage in the same amount of time. Or so you'd be, or I'm sorry, not legs and hamstrings, quads and hamstrings. So like you work your quads and then you go back and you work your hamstring,
yeah.
and then that's also having a antagonistic stretch effect on one versus the other. So it's like, oh, you're contracting the quad, but then when you're flexing the hamstring, now you're stretching the stretching the quad, and it just has like this crisscross dealio. I think it works better.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it that way too.
All right, so going on to the next one, which is conjugate. Conjugate.
Conjugate. That's a West Side.
Yeah.
That's from West Side.
Yeah, so
if you know anything about powerlifting,
yep, you want to explain that one?
what powerlifting or the West Side?
Conjugate.
Conjugate is so you have your heavy day. Like if you're gonna do squats, you're gonna do a heavy day and then you're gonna do a dynamic day. So that's more like speed work,
Yeah.
right? And then so you do that with everything. So you have your squat day, your deadlift day, your bench day,
Mm-hmm.
depending on whatever variable you're working on for that pattern, right?
Yeah.
So you got your heavy day and then your dynamic day for each of those things, which usually ends up being a 4 or 5 day workout plan too.
Yeah. And then they just cycle through a bunch of them. So they'll pick like 5 lifts, and then they just cycle through it.
Yeah.
And it's like variations of the same pattern. So if it's like a deadlift or a bench press, all the variations they're choosing are a deadlift or a bench press. They don't stray very far. It's just a very small change to get the body to think it's something different. It's really not, but it thinks it is. And then and in that way, it's like, oh, we're doing something slightly different. Okay. But then the pattern as a whole increases. So it's kind of like that, the base and floor thing again, but now you're going even further specific to just a pattern. So if you take just like your squat pattern, it's just like, okay, here's our thing, but it's only like you're just narrowing that down even further, but then you have a little bit of a gap and it's just like making the pattern as a whole better.
Yeah. So like on your squats, you could do, even if it's like a box squat, you got your box squat, you could do a regular barbell for however many weeks for heavy, and then the next week you're still doing barbell, but you're going to go a lighter weight and put bands on and work that
Yes.
for speed.
Correct.
So that's your heavy day and dynamic day. So
Yeah. And so something I've done with Conjugate is I don't know if it's like reinventing the wheel or doing something new, but like how I understood Conjugate was basically like that. I just pulled the dynamic days out because I'm like, if I'm doing this for strongman, it's like, oh, Conjugate might work pretty good for strongman because there is so much variation and it's very pattern based, and you got to get better at these patterns. But I just pulled the speed day stuff out because I'm like, that doesn't really do much for me. Like, I'm trying to get faster, but there's other things to get faster in. So Conjugate was developed for powerlifting. That's what the inventor Louis Simmons created this system for. He had it with powerlifting in mind. I believe he used it for like other athletics and other endeavors because Westside trained more than just powerlifters. They trained other athletes too.
mhm,
They did like
mhm.
football players and all sorts of like Olympic stuff as well. He's written a lot of books about it. Um, but so what I did was I would take like just 2 variations or 3 variations. And my sweet spot I found is 2 variations because I decondition really quick. So if I'll just take like the barbell and the safety squat bar. And those are the 2 ones I get the most out of. So those are the 2 that I just left. So one week I'll do the barbell, and then the other week I'll do the safety squat bar. Then the third week I'll do the barbell. The fourth week I'll deload, and then the fifth week I'll do a barbell again. And it's just like going back and forth with those 2. And as I'm going back and forth, I just keep increasing the weights. So it's kind of like you have a little bit of that linear going in, you got a little bit of that block going in, and you got a little bit of the conjugate going in. I just stirred them all up, right? And I mean, I think it works pretty well. It certainly piques me very well. Um, but yeah, I just did it like that because I found if I put too much variation in, my body's like deconditioning too quickly, and it's like, okay, what's
Yeah.
that? What's that? What's that? So the pattern itself kind of got better, but by the time I went back to the first one, I'm like, okay, well, you should be better at this. I was actually worse at it, and I'm like, that's not the goal. So we're gonna take some of these out, and then when I went down to 2, it was better. And I put a third one in there at one point. I think it was like a front squat or Zercher squat. And then that was 2 different. But if I used a Zercher squat as an accessory, that was fine.
So interesting.
Yeah. And my body deconditions like super quick. So
Do
I
you
got to
think
be
it's because
careful.
you change it or just
I don't know.
you don't know?
I think it's just how I'm wired.
Yeah.
I don't, because like honestly, I don't change stuff that much because
Mm-mm.
I've been doing squat, bench, and deadlift because they're like, oh, you need to change things because you'll go stale. It's like we've been squatting, deadlifting, and bench pressing for like 20 years,
Right.
and then the numbers are only going up. So I'm like, that's not true.
Right.
So in terms of the conjugate thing, I think it's a matter of, the specificity, but I don't know. I think it's my body just like dials into whatever it's doing and it kind of goes all into it. And then it just has a quick forget
You think
button.
we should use that on cardiovascular also?
Conjugate on cardiovascular.
Yeah.
I don't think it would hurt. Well, because especially if you're doing it every day.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing like that stage 2 stuff every day, which is supposed to be healthy for your heart or whatever,
Yeah.
I think a variety of cardio stuff would be good just because you're doing it for like a longer time. So if you're doing like biking every day for 20 minutes, that's going to go stale in your mind and you're going to quit. But if you had like a variety of stuff to choose from, I think it would be good. I think the best one though, I think if you were able to do swimming every day, I think that would be the best, but who has time for that?
Right. And where's the pools?
Yeah, you got to go to the pool at the certain time, and then there's all the pool stuff going on. You got to shower to get all the pool chemicals off you.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, but if you had swimming, I think that would be the best. It's just hard to get to. The second best, I think, would probably be probably some sort of running or jogging. Be hard on your bones, but it'd be pretty good.
Maybe if we could find a good treadmill runner.
I'm just talking about going outside and like jogging.
Well, yeah, people definitely all of us need to go outside more
Yeah.
and get some sunshine.
But what was I read this somewhere? They were talking about specificity and cardio stuff and just going in terms of the conjugate thing and like would that even help? I don't think it would help you in terms of like the benefit you're trying to get from cardio because that's just like cardio is just cardio.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to do something to your heart and get it in a certain like set of condition. Like even sauna can do that apparently. I'm gonna have to build
What?
one. Yeah, they were saying so if you're in a sauna, the benefit of the sauna of why it reduces all-cause mortality is because it heats you up. Your heart has to go up with it,
Oh.
so your heart rate increases. So it's kind of like free or effortless cardio. Like you're not doing anything, but your heart is being in that hot environment.
I don't know if that's going to be good for everybody because some people just can't take that heat.
Well, then turn it down a little.
Well-
Like you'll figure it out. Like, but anyway,
Anyway,
going
yeah.
back to the cardio thing, though, they were saying for your sport, like if you wanted to specify it, swimming is like number one that has the most carryover to any activity you're trying to do, just because it's total body cardio. And then after that, it's like running's okay, but if you were doing like a something full body where you're actually using your arms, that would be better. Trying to think, it's not a Jacob's ladder. What are they called? They're like it's like this thing you stand on. And you have to like push your arms and legs.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember what that's called. It's not a stair climber.
One of them things.
It's like a skier or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that escapes me. But the worst one though was cycling. So they're saying cycling's bad because all you're doing is you're sitting on this thing and pedaling your legs. Like it's better than nothing, but it doesn't carry over because you're not like bearing any weight.
Right.
It's like the less points of contact with the ground activity that you could possibly do, and the less amount of arm like movement. The only thing moving is your legs. So they're like, yeah, you're doing something, but it's not going to carry over to anything well.
Right.
So it was just something interesting. I wonder where well, I guess you couldn't really count grappling into that because I don't know if you could grapple for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think
you
anybody's tussling around for 20 minutes unless it's life or death.
Yeah, you did submaximal tussles.
Right.
You could do it.
Yeah, no.
All right. So going on to conjugate, like who do you think conjugate should be used for in terms of like the gym? What's the appropriate population for conjugate?
Well, our powerlifters and strongman probably.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like a do at your own risk. I think
Yeah.
you could do block periodization. I think works well enough for most people. I think conjugate, as soon as you go into that, you're going into like you're very specialized, like you want to do something very special or very specific, then we go into that because like there's some things like block periodization. So prepping for nationals, if you wanted to throw it in the block periodization of, I don't know, like 70 days, however many days out we are, it's like, yeah, you could do that.
Are you 70 days out?
It's something like that. I think it's
it
around.
might be.
It's about 70 days.
You're
Yeah.
getting close.
Yeah. But anyway, if you wanted to put it into block periodization of that, it's like you could, but it's not even blocks because I write it out as a continuum.
Yeah, conjugate I think usually only runs about 12 weeks. I could be wrong.
I don't even know. I think it's like more like 5 weeks. It's a short. They run a short cycle, but so they'll run like they run just as long as many variations as you have. So let's say you have 6 variations with the bar, then that's it. You would do that. You might deload, and then you might go back to it. I don't even know if they do deloads on conjugates.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think they just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I'm like, okay.
We need to get that.
I guess I'm training
out.
too hard or something. That's the other thing. So it's like whatever you're doing with when you get into strength training, like it's all neurological based. Like what your strength is being generated from is your nerves, your nervous system. So a lot of it's very heavily neurological based. If you're doing something like more bodybuilding, where it's not like yes, there's neurological being used, but it's more like muscle action. Like you're actively using your muscles, right?
But if your muscles and everything isn't fueled properly, you're not going to get a very good
neurological. Yeah. That goes into like the axis point of which one. That's not to say you're not using one over the other. You're using them both in both types of training. It's just like, where's this potentiation coming from? And one, it's more of like, yes, this is the muscles. Like when you're doing all the pump exercise work, it's like you need your muscles fueled to do that. But when you're doing like your strength work, it's like you need your nervous system fresh and ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. And that will access the muscles to push them harder and to do the thing.
And so what do we need for that?
Rest and sleep
and
proper training and recovery
and nutrition.
Yeah, I don't eat food.
I don't know how you stay fueled without eating as much as you need to be.
I don't know. You keep going, you just keep moving, and then you just kind of forget to eat.
Sour Patch Kids.
No, no. I broke that down. It's like I don't think I eat anywhere near enough that I do for my activity level. I don't know. I guess I have to at some point because I'm still here. But
right, yeah, you have to. We need a track.
That'll segue us off into. So we talked about how to get stronger in the gym. So how do we go into how to get leaner at the gym? So for people who are like, yeah, I just want to go to the gym and get stronger. What do you do for people who are like, I want to go to the gym and get jacked and chiseled? Not necessarily bodybuilder. They just want to like look better.
To lean out.
Yeah.
To show the muscles.
Sure.
Well, that's going to be a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And a little bit more cardio.
So break it in. We got all the degrees and nutrition-y stuff. Let's start talking.
Well, that Ben is
You
gonna
got
come where
20 minutes.
we need to check your nutrition. We
Yeah.
need to see how much you're eating and tracking and then
No, I'm not your client here. You talk to let's make up somebody else and we'll do that. Let's say you have someone coming in.
You're a great example though,
Yeah.
because again, you got to track your food to know where we're at, and then it depends on everybody's composition on how much they need to lose, maybe.
So how would you go about deciding that number? Like that's a good one. Let's say you had someone came in the gym and they're like, well, we need to lose weight, but how much do we need to lose?
Yeah, how much you need.
And then
to
how would you
lose.
go about that? Well, I don't need to lose weight. I'm in the super heavyweights. If
I
anything,
know.
I need to gain weight.
So general population or like a strong man?
I think general population is a better
General
example.
population. So I would go based on what. So are we breaking down like how many calories they should be eating?
Yeah, what's a good, like, let's make up a stereotypical person. So this person doesn't exist. They walk into the gym and let's say they know they're out of shape, but they don't know where like how much weight should they lose. They're like, I need to come lose weight, but I don't know how much I should lose. What
Okay,
would
so
be a good
then
number?
I'm gonna be like, you need to track how much you're actually eating. We need to know how much you're eating at right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to track, and then we're gonna subtract. Subtract at least 500 calories from that, and
Okay.
start tracking and eating that much. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you come in right off the bat. You're saying, what are you eating now?
Mhm.
So basically, what got you here?
Yeah.
And then we're going to find that number out and we're going to pull 500 calories away from that and maintain that for how long?
At least a month.
Okay, so then maintain that number for a month and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah,
And then-
and then adjust.
And then so if like they're not losing any weight, would you just pull that down another 500 or
No,
go
I
down?
probably wouldn't at first. I'd
Okay.
probably be like, okay, how much cardio are we getting in besides just working out with machines or whatnot?
So then you would push the caloric expenditure up instead of bringing their calories
At
down.
first, I think.
You push their energy consumption up. Okay.
Especially if they're
That makes sense.
already not getting the proper amount of each macronutrient.
So what should the proper amount of each macronutrient be?
That's going to be dependent on the person.
Well, give us an example.
So if someone comes in and they're like,
okay, let's say someone shows up and they're weighing at 240 pounds and they want to go down to like a clean 180, like chiseled. What do they need to do? What would the step-by-step be for that?
you gotta,
I think the numbers are way off, but
Yeah.
like, let's just imagine you have someone like that.
you gotta train hard, work out, get those weights going.
Yep.
You gotta work on how much protein, carbs, and fats you're eating for the day, every day.
But what should those numbers be? Like, what ratio should they work for? Does that go back into the?
That's a lot of math right now.
Well, does that go back into? Let's give us a number to shoot for.
So So if you're at 200 and you weigh 200 or 240, what'd you say?
We'll say you come in at 240.
240.
Well, like, let's say you're going into a deficit. Like, what would it be? So if I was asked this question, I would just be like, okay, well, right off the bat, if you're whatever, I would just switch I would say just take your carbohydrates down to like 200 grams a day. Take your fats down to here's your baseline targets that you want. But I'd be like fats, carbs, match them, but bring them down. Proteins, bring them up and see what that does.
I would, if you're around 240 and you want to drop down to 180, I would want your your protein to be at least 180.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the rest, so 1800 calories right there.
Yeah.
How'd I get to that? 1 gram per
1 gram per kilogram of body weight or per pound of body weight?
Your goal weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want that in pounds or kilograms? Because some people do.
For the macros, it'd be grams.
Okay. Because like some people they'll do like, oh, you need, because I've seen this everywhere in the exercise sciencey world, where they're like, you need like 0.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And I'm like, I'm not European. I don't do kilograms.
Yeah, I'm not.
And then they'll be like, okay, well then you need, then like, oh, you need 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And I'm like, no, I'm a big boy. I subscribe to the old methods of you eat big to get big, and that way we're gonna try to punch our protein up to the 300 to 400 grams range. Like that's how
For
you do
you,
that.
yes, because you are trying to get big, jacked, and strong.
Exactly. So
For
you need more
for a
protein.
general person that is not looking to do strongman, we would go baseline, minimum 0.8 grams of goal body weight
Mm.
in protein, and then the rest is, your carbs and fats.
Okay.
That would be a whole story to go
And then
over.
for someone looking to get leaner, what do you think? What do you think the drive is going to be for that? Do you think the workouts are going to be more important, or do you think the diets are going to be more important?
Your diet is the most important.
Yeah.
Because even if you get injured, you're going to be off. You're not going to be able to train very
Mhm.
much. You still have to have that diet in check.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the age old question when YouTube first came out for forever
Yeah.
ago. Everyone was like, "What's more important, diet or workouts, or diet and training, or diet and whatever?" And everyone's like, "Oh, they're both 100%." And I'm like, "Well, I think it matters towards the person
Yeah.
because it's like if you're, well, let's say you're like the top tier Olympic person, right? And they're like competing in the Olympia. Well, their workouts are probably going to be more important because for that person, I imagine their diet's probably already on check.
Yeah.
It's probably like perfect. So to
Yeah.
them, diet's not going to matter.
Right.
But if you're like the average person sitting on a couch who's sedentary, you're like, well, Chris Bumstead said that workouts are more important, so I'm not going to worry about that. It's like, well, no, because it's specific to the population.
Yeah.
Because the person who's sitting on their couch, they can't outwork a poor diet. So to
Right.
them, their diet is going to be the most important. So like the answer to the question isn't which one's more important. It's which one has more impact on your life.
Yes.
Yeah. And for most people, I think it's diet. If you live in
Right.
America, actually,
Yes.
if you live in America, the answer is diet.
Mm-hmm.
If you're anywhere else, it might be the workout.
Yeah. If you don't train as hard as Ben does, your nutrition needs to be in check.
Yeah. Yeah, I have outworked a bad diet.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah. It can be done, but that's a lot of training.
Someone was like, "Oh, can you outwork a bad diet?" And there was like, "No, you can't outwork it." And I'm like,
For the
"Oh,
general-
you can.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do it.
Yeah.
But are you prepared to work out for 12 hours every day?"
Exactly.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Like who, especially when you're like an adult with responsibilities and have like a job and stuff. Like now, if you're like a high school kid
Yeah.
or high school homeschooler, who doesn't have anything else to do but and gets all their schoolwork done, right? Like you have nothing left to do. Yeah, you can outwork it because I've done it and I got like stupid shredded, like eating absolute crap and just like, the whole thing. But then it's like, okay, well, now you can't do those 12-hour workouts anymore. And oh, here's the other thing. You're 30 and now you're tired.
Right.
You're tired all the time, or you have kids that dad you. You're tired now.
Yeah.
Or you don't sleep anymore. It's like, okay, well, now you can't do that. And you will never outwork a bad diet.
No.
It's just not in the cards. Those days are over.
Yes. Yeah, everybody's goals change. So
Glory days.
yeah, your age,
Yeah.
everything is relative to each person. It's gonna matter.
Yeah. No, I'll say it like as for the younger people watching this, I would say it's probably eat more food, but if you're trying to get on like a bulk, don't bulk up too quick because the thing you have to consider is like hormonal health. And if you go too far too fast and you start adding like fat, like make sure the mass you're adding on is actual muscular mass.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a very slow process.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm trying to get all jacked and juicy. Go ahead and like do it. I'm not saying don't do it, but just make sure the mass that you're adding isn't straight fat. Because if you add too much fat cell, that's going to issue a hormonal response, which can in turn like mess up all your hormones. So if you're going to do like a bulk, make sure it's like a clean bulk.
Yeah.
Be very, very mindful of it all, but it shouldn't be more.
Jacket.
What is it, like a pound a week or something?
Yeah, you losing or gaining. You
Yeah,
wanna-
losing or gaining about a pound a week. But it's like I did a thing where it was like I added, I don't know, it's probably 30 pounds prepping for one of these nationals. And that for sure messed up hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, it jacked me up. But after I did that, I'm like, oh, I
Or
don't feel good.
Yeah. Or even losing weight way too fast.
Yeah.
Can mess you
Yeah,
up.
that'll mess up hormones too.
Yeah.
But like for me, when I did it, I didn't realize that I was basically my body couldn't tolerate rice. I was doing the vertical diet, which is like, hey, yeah, rice is our staple, and so I'm like eating these tubs of rice a day, and I'm like, huh, yeah, like oh, that explains a lot. I took my blood sugar once, and it's like, oh, you're diabetic. I'm like, we're gonna have to cut the rice out, and then I cut the rice out, and it was fine. But
Oh no.
yeah, I know it was like it was skyrocket. It was like in the 140s. It was
Oh my
bad.
gosh,
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Then there's all that.
Yeah. So that's what we figured out. Figure out what your food tolerances are and then send it, but not till then.
Right. Food, yeah. Food can mess some people up sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't eat pizza anymore.
You know, we shouldn't be eating that much anyway.
Well, it's like not a bad thing because it's
Right.
like, I'm like going through these foods because some foods like it's just like you're not tolerating these foods well, and it seems to be like anything fast food is messing me up. I think it's the oils.
Yeah.
So anything fast food, that explains pizza because it's all oily. So anything pizza, coffee, which is strange. What else? Like those Alanis, anything
Yeah.
carbonated, that seems to be doing it.
Really?
And then some ice cream is doing it. Because I'm like, am I lactose intolerant? But I could eat cottage cheese. I could eat like yogurt's fine. Some ice creams are fine, but I think it's just a matter of like, is this thing actually ice cream or not?
Yeah.
Because it's
So
like
then you're
Dairy Queen
getting
ice cream, that messed me up. I can't do that
really.
anymore.
I don't think it's technically real ice cream.
It's not. That's why it messed me up. Yeah, it's probably plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then that's where ingredients is going to come in. What's a good,
Mhm.
clean, you got to look at nutrition labels a lot now.
Yeah, and something I want to do this at some point, but it requires like genetic testing or like a 23andMe. But the idea is like find out where you're like what makes up you, like your actual genealogy. Like where do your building blocks of DNA come from? What areas of the world? And then like find out their diet and then adopt that diet and see how it works for you.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be a cool experiment.
It's like, but you kind of got to give your DNA over to basically the government. But
They probably already have it.
yeah, that's kind of my thought. I'm like, well, they probably already have it. Like, they all got your social security. They basically, they
Exactly.
got you anyway.
Yeah.
But so that's like a thought I've had is like that'd be kind of cool though.
But I think that might be hard too, because if you try to adapt that way of nutrition life, supposedly,
Mhm.
America does not always have that fresh, clean.
They fresh and clean, yes. So I agree. Like you might not be able to get those exact ingredients,
Right.
but I think you could try to turn your diet more to that.
Mm-hmm.
And just to try it. So like
Mhm.
for example, like I ate some sourdough bread, like some like real stuff. Like you had to make it and do all the
Yeah.
hard stuff. And like a whole loaf of this stuff. Because I'm like, so Esther's like, hey, you should try this. And I think it would be really good for you. It's supposed to be like this great stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll eat it. I'm gonna eat a whole lot. I'm purposely gonna I will try to make myself sick on this thing and see what happens. Right. So I like ate it all. And then
You ate a whole loaf
yeah.
in one sitting?
It wasn't like one sitting.
Oh, okay.
But it was like one day for sure.
Yeah.
And so I go to like test my blood sugars in the morning. So I like definitely ate a half a loaf in one sitting, like 8 hours before I tested my blood glucose. So I ate it at night, went to bed, woke up, tested my blood glucose. It was the lowest it's ever been. It was like back down to 83.
That's
And I'm like,
interesting. But
well,
do you think it's because you actually had a good amount of carbs? Because carbs also help fuel.
this was on top of that.
Oh,
So
on top of that, okay.
not a whole lot changed other than what you ate before bed was your carb source changed.
The carb source.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So the diet, whatever I eat, it's about the same.
That makes sense though, because you could eat like the sourdough
Hmm.
as a one carb source, but then also you have pasta. That is gonna totally raise your blood sugar.
Depending where the pasta comes from, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I was talking to my sister about this because she can't eat pasta because she has like the same
Yeah.
irritable bowel, whatever
It's
stuff
probably
going.
yeah.
Well, some people in the family have it worse than others,
Mhm.
So like some of the men, like I don't know if they just don't talk about it, but others do. And I'm just trying to like pinpoint this thing out and figure it out because I'm like, no, we need to be performing like stallions, like top
Yeah.
tier race car horses, right? And so she was like saying how she cannot do pasta like at all. And they had like this Italian pasta. It was like shipped from Italy, so it was made with Italian wheat. They had that over at Aldi, so I got some of that. And so I'll eat that. I gave it to her, and she's like, "It doesn't do it. Does it? It messes her up a little bit, but way less than the other stuff." So she's like, "I'm still not going to eat it, but it does seem better than the other stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll take that then." And so I've been using that, but that doesn't seem to do anything in terms of like raising it up anywhere near as the other stuff.
That's so funny.
Like I think it's anything with like Durham wheat,
Yeah.
whatever wheat's grown over here because it's not actually wheat anymore.
That's
Yeah, there's like this
covered
cross pollination
Yeah.
stuff going on, and they like changed the structure of it, and it's like mutant wheat now.
Right.
Yeah, it's like this weird stuff.
All that celiac.
It's something. Yeah, I don't know. It's something. But like all the
Anyway,
bread over
yeah.
here really isn't bread. It's like it's just all like fake
I
stuff.
know. All that
Yeah.
chemicals in there. That's why
Right.
it can sit on the shelf for so long.
Yes. And like that's the same thing with like your fruits too. So we'll buy like bananas, and your bananas they don't rot the same way, and apples don't rot like your fruit doesn't rot the same
Yeah.
way. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this no more. We got to go grow our own garden.
We learned this the hard way, I guess you could say. With bananas, actually, the main thing, organic or not.
Mm-hmm.
So if we bought just regular bananas, I would get horrible indigestion. But
Yeah.
once we started using or eating the organic bananas, I didn't.
What's the difference?
Organic?
No, okay. Wonder what they use on them.
Yeah.
I wonder if they don't. Well, I wonder if there's something like this. They're not spraying on them,
Yeah, I don't know.
or maybe the organic ones are 3D printed.
Those chemicals still get inside the fruit, so.
Well, for sure, but it's like if they're spraying one thing that you can't tolerate on one product and another on another one.
Do you think
'Cause-
that's all it is a different spray?
It could be. Well, no, if you want to look into like the Bill Gates stuff.
Oh God.
No, he's like buying up all this farmland, and they created it's called Apeel. And
Yeah.
we'll turn this into a conspiracy. We're on this conspiracy podcast now. Welcome to the conspiracy podcast, where we have
You know
5 minutes
how
left.
many have we gotten wrong though?
Not many.
Yeah.
But no, this is all documented. It's all true stuff.
Right.
It's not even conspiracy. It's just true.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's called Apeel, and it's like this chemical they're putting on basically all your. I don't know if it's vegetables. They're putting something else on vegetables, but they're putting it on fruits to help the fruits. It's like a waxy coating. It's to make them look like more appealing and shiny and like flawless,
Mhm.
but it's also to be a preservative coat.
Right.
And so it's supposed to help the store life of these things. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's also like super bad. It's like been proven to be super bad for you. And this thing like failed FDA testing, which is a joke of its own, but it failed the FDA testing a couple times. And they're like, oh, you know what? We're just going to keep throwing money at you until you accept it. And they're like, okay, for whatever reason, it passed this time.
Oh my God.
So yeah, no, it's like the waxy coat on all your stuff now.
Is that what it was? I thought it was more of a mutant fruit.
It's probably, I don't know about the mutant fruit stuff, but
Oh, okay.
it's all that Apeel was. It was
Either
like this
way, it's not good, yeah.
wax coating they're putting on
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's not good for you. So yeah, before we go start talking about more not conspiracy theories, I think that's a good. I mean, do you have any more thoughts about getting leaner and diets and working out and stuff?
No, yeah, that's the biggest thing is tracking your nutrition. That's going to be your biggest deciding factor, and if you're going to lose weight or not.
Yep. No, I agree. That's how it is for that aspect.
Yeah.
So on one side of the fence, it's how to get stronger, eat all your food and train really hard, and how to get leaner, train really hard and eat less food.
Right.
That sums up today's podcast. See you on the next one. Bye.